Hey everybody, I'm Ross Johnson, your favorite co-host from the Sound of Tomorrow show on WAYO 104.3 FM Rochester. That's coming up next. We're talking about flirting. We're talking about we've got a little reading hack for you, and Heather promises things that are cute and things that are not so cute. I don't know what that means. If you want to find out what it means, you got to stick around. You got to listen. That's coming up right now in just a second. But first,
Hey Ross, what's going on? I was just gonna.
what?
Okay. I ought not be surprised at this point, but why are you naked?
Why not?
I mean, okay, but it's considered polite to at least warn people.
Okay, fair. So, I should warn you, I will be nude today.
Nude and wet? I'm really gonna need you to put down a towel this time. You're dripping water everywhere.
Okay, it's baby oil, actually. So,
That's baby oil?
well, okay. I didn't have any baby oil, so I used butter, which I feel like is kind of the same idea, right?
As baby oil? I guess so.
Okay, fine, stop grilling me. I didn't have any butter either. It's actually that I can't believe it's not butter stuff, the spray kind. I was spritzing for a long time. I figured if baby oil and butter are interchangeable, and if people literally cannot believe it's not butter, the transitive property tells us that baby oil and I can't believe it's not butter are identical, QED, but with way fewer calories.
Then baby oil? Ew.
That's another plus. I'm totally lickable now.
Okay, I don't know who you're trying to convince since I'm not licking you. Although, if I were forced to choose, I'd sooner lick you without all the fake butter.
That is so sweet of you.
You're welcome.
I'm just worried that my live action historical role playing group is going to judge me for being inauthentic,
Wait, you're in a live action historical role playing group?
Totally. Oh my gosh, it's so fun. You would totally love it.
I bet I would.
But you can't.
Why can't I? Is there like some kind of jacked up membership fee or something? Because there certainly doesn't appear to be a dress code.
Okay, there's totally a dress code. It's just sometimes the required dress is no dress at all. No, I mean, the reason you can't join is, don't make me say it. Ooh, okay, I don't, fine. Okay, it's because you're a girl. And there are no girls in history, so.
Of course there are girls in history. What are you even talking about?
Okay, I mean, fine, technically true. There's Anne Boleyn and, I don't know, Tina Turner? That's pretty much it, though.
We live in the hometown of Susan B. Anthony. How can you say there are no women in history?
Okay, fine. There are 3. But you're not role-playing Tina Turner. That would be offensive. But, I don't know, if we ever do a role-play of the Battle of Seneca Falls, I will be sure to call you.
There are more than 3 women in history. In fact, I bet there are women in whatever this is you're doing right now.
Heather. Sweet. Oh, sweet. Sweet, Heather. Oh, my goodness. You're so cute. No, I mean, let's not put the knowledge that you, a girl, have of history up against that which is held by me, a man. Just barely out of boyhood, it's true, but nevertheless, a man. We're doing the Battle of Thermopylae, Heather. Thus, my Greek-appropriate nudity, shiny skin, and lack of girls. It's the 2500th anniversary coming up, so I'm doing a thing.
Okay, fine. There were not a lot of girls at the Battle of Thermopylae.
Look at you pretending to know about history. But in this case, you've guessed correctly. So,
However, the Battle of Thermopylae was a holding action for the Greek alliance who were fighting a naval battle near Athens. One of the military leaders of the Persians was Artemisia, a girl, who Xerxes, king of the Persians, later said was the most excellent officer in the fleet, and he took her advice on how to deal with the Greeks.
that's another lucky guess of yours, I guess.
Plus, the Spartans might have exercised naked, but they didn't fight naked. They had armor and stuff. And they certainly didn't coat themselves in butter. That's just the kind of thing you see in movies.
Okay, so the other fellas are really not going to go for this getup, is what I'm hearing.
Also, the Battle of Thermopylae was in 480 BCE, which is 2,501 years ago. So you already missed the big anniversary.
It almost feels like the guys are playing a trick on me.
Yeah, buddy. Kinda seems like that.
I don't suppose you want to play naked live action historical role playing with me.
Oh, sweetie. Not even a little tiny bit.
No.
Not one bit. I can't
It's
believe
naked.
it's not butter.
It's
Spit, 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 spit.
spit, 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 spit.
You
Zero
smell
calories. What are you
delicious.
gonna do? It's like the Diet Coke of butter.
Could just go to Applebee's and stand over their food.
It's true.
Put that spray butter on everything.
I don't think that's true.
They do. Even their
I
salads.
don't think Applebee's puts. I can't believe it's not butter spray on everything.
They do.
What are you talking about? Hey, everybody, I'm Russ Johnson, your favorite co-host.
And I'm Heather Zykowski, the babe with the power. You're listening to The Sound of Tomorrow on WAYO LP Rochester.
Yep.
And we're back with another exciting episode this week.
It's pretty exciting. You know why?
Why?
I was hoping you knew why.
I do know why.
It was not a rhetorical question. I was actually asking.
So, Ross, I would like to start this episode with telling you about like a super duper cute thing. Like
Is it
one
about
of
me?
those kind of, yes, it's about how cute you are.
Good.
Yeah, which you are.
Thank you.
But this is kind of one of those actual like heartwarming stories that doesn't seem to happen too often in real life.
Okay.
But it happened to me. So, you know how I am kind of a cat lady, right? And I have food dishes for the neighborhood cats in a little cat shelter out on my porch.
Yeah.
The other day, I got home from the store.
No boring story has ever started with, you know how I feed the neighborhood cats? Go ahead.
Just to set the scene. So I got home from the store the other day and I went up to the porch to check the mail. And then I turned around and I saw that there was an envelope on top of the cat shelter. And I was like, huh?
Ooh.
And then I looked a little closer and it had a little paw print drawn on it. And I was like,
this better be about a cat leaving you a thank you note. Otherwise, I want my money back for this story. Go ahead.
Yeah. I got to tell you, it was a cat leaving me a thank you note.
Refund denied.
No. So I was so curious. I opened it right there. And as I just showed Ross on the camera, and you can see this all on YouTube if you want to, I took out a thank you note from the envelope. And I was like, what?
What's happening right now?
And by then, with the paw print, I figured it must be from a cat.
Yeah.
And inside the card, it says, hello. I've moved away with my owners. Thank you for the water and food. So long, and thanks for all the fish. And it's signed Mew, parentheses, black and white cat. And there's a little paw print drawn in it.
Huh.
And it's the darn cutest thing in the world, because I know exactly, I didn't know that this cat's name was Mew, but I definitely knew this cat, and I saw this cat and fed it. And on my security cameras, I would see it walk across my porch every morning. And I realized at first I was just like, that's so nice that they left me a thank you note. And then I realized I can't imagine how worried I would have been if I just didn't see that cat around anymore.
Yeah. What a
and
nice,
so it was like quadruply nice, because by now I would be like, oh, I wonder what bad happened to that cat.
Yeah.
But now I know.
Yeah, no, that's very nice and thoughtful. And I'm more every day I get more stridently opposed to outdoor cats.
I know.
However, that is a pretty nice thing to do. Cuz like you said, you would have been worried, and it was nice, you were sort of giving their cat food. Which is a nice, I'm sure you don't begrudge, but it is a nice thing to thank someone for.
It was really nice, and I'll admit, I do agree with you, especially in my neighborhood where people go up and down my street like it's the freaking Autobahn. I don't know why. It's just a residential city street.
Yeah.
But I worry about the outdoor cats, and I don't want to condemn people or anything, but it
I
but
mean, there are
still, if
worse
you're going to have an
behaviors.
outdoor cat, yeah. And obviously the folks who helped Mew write this note were paying enough attention to know that Mew was over here
Yeah.
hanging out on my porch and snacking over here and stuff.
And it, and
So
it, and 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 with a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference squeezed in there,
I
so there
know.
it's like a I don't know what that is, but that's
I
a cute
know. It
thing.
was really, 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 really cute. It's funny with the outdoor cats because I saw, I love those neighborhood pages, right? The
Of
neighborhood
course.
Facebook page. I recently installed Nextdoor just for kicks, just to see what's out there.
Yeah.
And someone irately posted, "Everyone in the neighborhood, stop feeding my cat. My cat is well fed at home, and when she comes home, she throws up the extra food on my bed." And I don't I don't interact. I knew that somebody would handle this for
You
me.
knew that. Yeah, you know those things are going to get taken care of.
Yeah, I didn't have to chime in, but I'm thinking, I don't know which one is your cat.
Right.
And if your cat comes around, I'm definitely feeding it.
And like, maybe keep your cat inside if you're that
Well,
worried about if this is that much of
yeah,
a
I
problem.
mean, that is the easy solution because cats are going to cat.
Yeah.
And you can tell your cat as much as you want, like, hey, you only eat at home. You don't eat when you're out.
Yeah.
And your cat is going to not understand English. And telling your neighbors not to feed your cat, I don't know of anyone really. I mean, I guess I have one that I specifically feed. Like,
Right.
she shows up and she shakes me down. But there's food out just for any old cat as well.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, you're not going to stand out there. Yeah, the request that you stand out on your I mean, if the I guess if the request were don't feed any cats. I mean, at least that's a possible thing you could do. Don't
Right.
feed my cat specifically as though you're going to stand there and check people
I
in.
know. Right.
It's
Yeah.
kind of absurd.
I've got nothing better to do all day. So, like, the black and white cat can eat, the striped one can, but not that calico that belongs to that lady who posted about not feeding her cat.
And you have to stand there apologizing like I'm sorry.
Right.
Your
I have
mother
to
has
bar
asked.
this cat from the food. Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen. But of course, many, 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 many people informed that particular cat owner that there was a wonderful solution for her cat only eating at home, and that would be her cat stays at home.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
I mean, yeah, it's with those pages like I mean, the thing about them is people are mean. People are like vicious. And
yeah,
a lot of times it's like, "Oh guys, why are you being so mean to this person?" When I see these things. But then other times you're right. You're like, "Oh, you see somebody post something and you're like, "Oh, this will get handled. This
yes,
will be taken care of."
yep,
because
yeah.
because
People do get like,
what are
I
neighbors
know,
for if not to yell at each other over every ridiculous thing they post?
yep, yeah. That's why I so very, very rarely post anything on any of those pages.
Yeah, never do. I mean, I guess if, heaven forbid, like when my dogs got loose or, was missing or something. I mean, I might if there were
Yes,
like a real situation or I don't know, if I had word of something that there's a gas leak and no one knows about. I don't know. I don't know why I would know something like that and everybody else wouldn't. I mean, maybe if there were like a real emergency situation, but that for some reason only I knew about, that doesn't make any sense. So, I have not had call
yep.
to post anything, especially because, like I said, people are mean, and I don't really want to get involved with that.
Yeah, they really are mean, and they only kind of half read because I know years and years and years and years and years ago, one of the cats broke out of the
Mhm.
house, like popped out a screen and jumped out the window, which I did have to post a picture.
Mhm.
And I was pretty clear about like our indoor only cat broke
Mm.
through a screen and went out the window, escaping from the house. And people were still like, keep your cat in if you're so worried. which was a little weird since I'd been very specific about like indoor only, broke out a screen.
Yeah.
But, that was fun. And then you even see it on kind of innocent things like looking for someone to do some electrical. On occasion, people get really angry, like, somebody asked about this 3 weeks ago. Scroll through and find their post.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow. So it's definitely a unique kind of scene.
It's like all social media, it's literally the way, like, humanity has put itself through some pretty terrible things, um you know over millennia. Really, we've done some, we've been the architect of all our own problems. Social media might be the dumbest. It might be the worst.
Yeah, it can
I mean,
definitely.
there's like, you know um I don't even want to, I don't want to go through the list of terrible things that humans have done, but social media is pretty, it's up there.
It definitely is up there. And speaking of things that are up there on the list of horrible, do
Mm,
you want to hear what I was referring to as the not so cute story to counterbalance my cute story?
sure.
Oh boy. Oh boy. you
She just
know,
pulled out a notepad, so this is going to be good.
yeah. Let's talk about white women. Wowie. Have you heard about the Victoria's Secret Karen?
No, you know what? I see so many of these stories on social media,
Yes.
and sometimes I look at them, and sometimes I'm like, I know the trajectory of this, so I don't know
Yeah.
that I know this one in particular. I might have seen something about it, but
This one is wild. I do not always follow up on these either,
mhm.
but I guess, I was just sitting around on a Saturday afternoon scrolling through social media and it just caught my eye and I was like, all right, wait a sec. What is going on? So the report I have here is from the Grio. It's by Biba Adams and it's called Victoria's Secret Karen attacks black woman has a meltdown after she's caught on camera.
I
And
did see this. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So I watched all of this video footage and I don't even really I don't think I need the article because I watched it all.
Mhm.
So what I heard happened before video footage started being taken was that there are people shopping at a Victoria's Secret at a very popular and it sounds like affluent mall,
Okay.
like a real nice mall. And there was a black lady whose name is Ijeoma Ukenta. And she was going through like a little sale rack. And this other woman, Abigail Elphick, came over to put a garment back and then just cut off Ijeoma Ukenta. And so Ijeoma Ukenta said, excuse me, as one would when you're browsing through some clothes and someone just acts like you're not there.
Yeah.
And the camera turns on as Abigail Elphick is seemingly like batting her hands toward Ijeoma Ukenta's face. And so you see this angry white woman flailing her arms in the direction of the camera, which is presumably being held, directly in front of the woman filming.
Mhm.
Then this white woman goes into behavior that maybe this isn't bizarre behavior, but I found it to be so bizarre. She starts screaming like a child about not being filmed. Stop filming me. And she's just getting redder and redder and she's screaming more and more loudly and sharply. Like, I am a grown woman. I can't hit that toddler range. The really high pitched shriek that makes your hair stand up. This woman, she really had some pipes on her. Shrieking. Then she bends at the waist. She falls to the floor. She has now pretended to faint. This,
Yeah, and yes. So I did see this video, and yeah, pretending to faint is the perfect way to put it, because it's a it's like an attempt. It's an attempt at theatricality from someone who clearly cannot act,
Yeah.
which is sort of what makes the whole thing laughable because it's like the worst stage fall you've ever seen. Because she's like, oh, I'm fainting. She doesn't say that, but yeah, she sort of mimics that she mimes that she's fainting, but then like very slowly and carefully positions herself on the floor, like
Yeah.
goes from a standing position to like as if I were just like, oh, I'm going to get down on the floor with the dogs for a second here. Let me do it. But then like I'm old and creaky and weird, so like it would be like, okay, be very careful. I don't want to hurt anything, that kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah. Um but then she gets up from her faint. She continues all of this. She starts charging at the woman who's filming, screaming like, "Get away from me, get away from me," as she's chasing this woman around the store. And the woman keeps saying like, "I'm filming for my own protection."
Right, right.
And I cannot blame her. At one point, another white woman comes up to the screaming white woman and she's trying to get her to like go outside and calm down. And the woman just keeps screaming. The white woman calls the police, starts saying that she's feeling threatened. And
Which
it went on, I swear, for like 15 minutes. And Ichiomo Kento, who's filming, is doing a little bit of commentary like, I can't believe this is happening to me. Look at this. I just came here. She had, it was really, really cute. She had the coupon everybody loves from Victoria's Secret where you get the free panty
oh
with a certain amount of money. And she's like, I just came here to get my free panty. I got to go pick up my boots after here. Like, what? Why is this happening? How is this happening? And I mean, there is so much more to it. Like, eventually the police do show up, and of course they take the white woman's statement first.
of
They're
course.
very dismissive of the black woman, and charges are still being pressed. Mall security was called, but for some reason security just was not coming. And at first it was the white woman who wanted security called on the black woman, but then the black woman was like, I do not feel safe around you. I would like you escorted out of here.
Yeah.
Which made a lot more sense to me because when someone is shrieking and carrying on like that, it was scary. Like it, I mean,
Well,
it seemed like she might attack at any moment.
you don't know. I mean, you don't know if, yeah, is someone in that someone acting that way, you don't know. I mean, are they going to attack? Do they have a weapon? You don't. Yeah, I mean, you have
Right.
absolutely no way of knowing. And thank goodness. I mean, we've talked about this before with police violence and all sorts of other things. I mean, thank goodness in a sense for everybody having cell phones because
Yeah.
how many of these things, how many of the number, the volume of these kind of things we see on social media. I mean, it's literally such a tiny subset of what goes on in the world where it's like, it happens, it was recorded, it gets onto social media, it kind of gets viral enough where we happen to see it. So you figure that is not that number of these things we see is not the number of these things that happen. It's a tiny subset of the number of things that are happening that we're not
Right.
seeing, either because they're not getting filmed or because we're not, they're just not, they don't have enough viral, or someone didn't, someone took the video but didn't post it on social media or whatever, so, thank goodness in a sense, because again, yeah, if I could certainly imagine a scenario where the exact same thing happened and the
Hmm.
police show up and they drag off the black lady.
Yes.
I mean,
Absolutely.
100%. And not just I can see it, I'm sure it happens
Yes.
very
And
frequently.
the Ichiomo Kenta says that in some of the video commentary. Like, imagine if it were me acting like this.
Yeah.
And expressing concern that security was going to escort the correct party out of the mall.
Yeah.
And there are a couple other things that I found disturbing. Nobody asked Ichiomo Kenta if she was okay. Did she need some help? The one white woman who went to calm down the other white woman, and it wasn't like a there, what did that lady do to you? It was
Mhm.
definitely like, all right, come on, let's leave the store. Come on, let's get out of here. But even she just turned to the black woman filming. She was like, all right, just stop filming. It's upsetting her. And that was when Ichiyama Ukento was like, I'm doing this for my own protection, she reiterated.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and
But
some of those things, I mean, you see those things. I understand to a point, because sometimes you see those things. I feel like when I've seen anything even remotely like that, I feel like I'm never there on the ground floor. You know what I mean? So I see a thing where I don't know how it started. I don't know who it's saying. So I'm like a let's not get involved type of person. I mean, unless there was a clear way for me to help. So, I mean, I do
yeah,
understand to some extent, like, you don't know what's going on. You don't know how it started. You just see a lady screaming and somebody else holding up a phone. So I get you don't necessarily know what's going on in the moment unless you saw it from the beginning.
yeah.
But I'm sure there are people that did see it from the beginning. I mean, obviously, I'm sure there are other people in Victoria's Secret, but yeah.
The store seemed crowded and it was kind of amazing, but also I'm afraid I could see myself doing this. There are also just people calmly waiting in line to check out their stuff. Well, 3 feet away,
Oh yeah.
this Abigail woman is screaming and then falling over and laying on the floor and then charging around,
Hmm.
chasing another woman through this door. Um, so far, everything I've heard is that the employees of the lingerie store were actually like really helpful and trying to calm things down. When security wouldn't come, one of them walked down to get security and make them come up.
Hmm.
So as
Yeah.
far as we know, the store was really trying to deal with the situation as best they could.
Well, and yeah, and I mean, they're not, the stores don't have their own individual security. It's usually, you could have, your two 20-year-old staff members who are not trained nor expected to deal with violent situations that crop up. So
No,
I get too, that gets complicated because you don't necessarily know what to do.
very
You're not trained nor paid to be the person who throws themselves, throws themselves
right.
at a violent customer. Um, but regardless, I mean, it's all, and
Yeah,
I think there's I don't, I don't like to bring in mental illness with these things because, again, a lot of it is just so much of it is just racism. I think that
no,
is a
yes,
I think that is a terrible nexus, though, in the fact that we're an extremely racist country that also doesn't value mental health and doesn't take mental health issues seriously. I mean, I think when you get when you get people who are racist and also potentially have issues of mental illness and combine those things, I think that is a particularly ugly nexus. I'm not saying everyone who does anything racist is mentally ill. I think that some
yeah,
people are just racist, and that's what it is. But
yeah.
you see some of this stuff, and you're like, okay, this is someone who maybe needs some help, and also should try to better themselves to not be racist.
Yeah, I can't be that kind in this situation. I read some commentary on this, and the commentary that I read, as well as just me watching all of the video footage that I saw just with my own eyes, I do believe that Abigail Elphick was trying to make herself the poor, sad victim. She
Yeah,
claimed she was having a panic attack. And I'll tell you, I know a lot of people who get panic attacks, and I get them myself. That is not how a panic attack has ever manifested that I have ever seen,
yeah.
with screaming and chasing someone around.
No, you're right. I mean,
Never in my life have I seen a panic attack manifest like that.
no, you're right. I mean, in that situation, I see someone who was trying to put on a show
Yes, she
was
was trying to
was
make
was
herself the poor victim.
but was really bad at it. Like, really,
Really
especially
bad.
particularly, like, not someone who should ever be an actor, because it was not even the baseline level of like the performance that you think a normal person with no acting ability could pull off to sort of, I don't know, pretend to be upset. Was a complete failure. I mean, really, if we were grading this performance, I don't
Yes.
think it doesn't even land on the scale. I mean, I couldn't even give it an F, you know?
Right. And I mean, that was the narrative that she was going for. Like, poor me. No, I'm the white woman. No, I'm the wronged party,
Mm,
obviously. And she just kept escalating it. And like you said, very poorly.
hmm
But
And
with the mental illness angle of it, I am also really resentful that she tried to play it off that she was having a panic attack, because
yeah.
that is not fair to people who actually do have panic attacks.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I don't think she was having a panic attack. I don't think that was if there is a mental illness component to this or any of these situations, I don't think it was that she was having a panic attack. I
Yeah,
don't think
that's what she said
that was
was
the issue.
going on.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't buy that for a
Um
second. But I mean,
but she also said that she was worried about her job and her apartment if this went viral. So,
well,
I mean, all I can think is she realized she was caught on film trying to punch someone, a black woman, in the face.
yeah,
And then she tried to play it off like, wait, no, poor me. I was having an episode.
yeah.
And this woman was threatening me and causing me to have my episode become worse and worse because she wouldn't stop filming.
Well, and maybe too, some of these things that look like they might have a mental illness component. I mean, there is a level of entitlement for
That's
people
yes.
in this country
Yes.
where you know it's hard for me to believe that you could act in such a way and not have some underlying issue. But
But
I mean, there's a level of entitlement where people do flip out if their
they
level
do.
of white entitlement is challenged. So you're right, you know.
Yep. And I'm thinking of the level of anger and rage that at times, especially if a woman indicates that she's not interested in the attentions of a male,
Mhm.
no matter how sweetly she says it, that can lead to horrifying anger and violence. So the entitlement is absolutely something that can provoke what we see as incredibly extreme reactions. But to the entitled person, and of course, this Abigail Elphick was entitled because she's the one with the pale skin.
Yeah,
How dare someone with darker skin challenge her?
yeah.
How dare?
I
And
don't know.
so that
And
escalated reaction, it to me, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa,
yeah,
whoa. And not like I'm perfect. I know I have my socialization, I have my internalized issues and things that I need to examine. I need to recognize, find them, see them,
hmm
But I mean, that reaction, I think that was complete and total entitlement, and the trying to spin herself as, no, innocent white lady here. I'm the victim.
that fall to the floor. I'm
It
telling you,
was,
if it weren't such a ugly situation, it would be hilarious because I mean, it is the worst like day one of drama school. Like we're going to teach you to do a stage fall and then you're going to do it. And they're going to be like, this is not for you, this place. I know you've just started here and other people have
yeah,
have work to do and but you're never going to get there, so we're going to give you your money back and send you home because it was really like it was literally, yeah, her sudden faint collapse to the floor was literally like me slowly creakily getting down on the floor with the dogs. It was
yes,
like, I'm doing
yes,
this very carefully, I'm going to put one hand
yes.
down, I don't want to, ow,
I
my
know,
knee, now my
I
knee hurts,
know.
okay, I'm going to do it. I mean, it was um
It was like when I
I've seen
drop
some bad
something on the
performances, but
floor, but I don't want to hurt my back. So
yeah.
I take extra caution in bending down to retrieve the item I've dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I as I so often say, I would like to say that I'm somehow shocked by this news story. Unfortunately, I'm not at all shocked. I'm
Yeah.
glad that there's footage. I'm glad that you can see, anyone can see with their own two eyes what went down.
Well, that's what horrifies me because I mean, we can sit here and laugh about it because it's so clear what was going on. But how many times does something like this happen and there's no
I
footage,
know.
and
Right.
the black woman winds up getting dragged off
Yes, exactly. And
or
the
told to
other thing,
leave, or even
or
something lesser,
escorted
but
out.
still, yeah,
Yeah, the security and the police say that they can't take this screaming white woman out of the mall. I saw people in the YouTube comments going like, they kick teenagers out of the mall all the time.
yeah,
Why can't they kick this lady out? They can kick people out of the mall.
yeah. Like,
Like
it's
you
private
really
property.
can.
It's
You
you.
really can.
They
Like
absolutely can.
it's fine to kick people out of the mall. And like so many just horrible things. But I was definitely thinking, okay, as Ijiomu Kenta brought up, what if she were the one screaming? You can bet she would have been tackled, at
Yeah.
least.
Well, and that's the thing too. When I mentioned mental illness earlier, a very important point there is white people get that sort of consideration all the time. When it's people of color, they're
Yes.
just, they're animals, or they're out of control, or there's no, there's not
Yes.
that, like, oh, let's talk about. So I was not bringing it up in that context. That was not the
Okay.
context of that.
Okay.
I want to be clear about that, but because I'm well aware that white people get that sort of consideration all the time
Yeah, they
when they
do.
do, things that are outrageous, whereas
Mm-hmm.
and black people generally do not. So I'm
Yes.
well aware of that.
Yeah. But so I don't know. This just it's been on my mind. Again, I'd like to say I'm somehow shocked or surprised. I'm not, but I I certainly hope there is a complaint filed against the officers who responded because Ukenta didn't feel protected, and there's a complaint filed against mall security.
Hmm.
Because really, when there is an incident like that, no matter what's going on, and even just you said for the store clerks, the two 20-year-olds who are working the register, they're not trained to deal with a potentially violent. At least it was definitely a very loud assault,
Yeah.
and who knows like how much it could have escalated into a physical altercation. That's what security is for. I mean, that's
Yeah.
mall security's jobs. And so I can see where they would be at fault for refusing to respond, and then an employee had to go and get them.
Yeah.
That's too long. And yeah, I definitely get it that it was a very intense situation. So I'm
Well,
hoping justice will be served.
let's not do that. Let's not pick fights at the mall.
Let's
Just in
not.
general. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
such a we can move on from this. There's such a level of there's such a level, and I don't know if it's more than it's ever been. I think in a way it's more than it's ever been because it's being challenged more than it ever has. There's such a level of entitled white people being angry, and I think we're seeing that spill over in so many places, and so many, and again, maybe these sort of Karen incidents are up. There's no way to quantify that because, again, we haven't filmed them in the past, so we don't know where they are.
Right.
Maybe they are up because there's such you see this level of white anger. You see the rage about, like, I might be someone's asked me to get a free vaccine. I'm not being forced to do it. I'm being asked to do it
Yeah.
politely and go do it for free. And you see this fury. I mean, you see this
Right.
rage, this red screaming. I've seen so many anecdotes about, not to turn this into COVID, but because that obviously affects people across races, but across skin colors. But I've seen so many anecdotes from people in emergency rooms where they're seeing people who have been brought in who've been brought in with COVID, which is, at the moment, at least, except for, at the moment, until these variants start,
Uh-huh.
crossing populations again. At the moment, pretty much statistically, on a statistical level, pretty much everyone that's in the hospital with COVID is someone who either didn't get vaccinated, or
Yep.
is in a situation where the vaccine, is an immunocompromised situation where the vaccine wasn't going to work.
Hmm.
But most of those people are on guard, so it is truly at this point. It's truly largely people who haven't gotten vaccinated. I'm talking about in the United States where the vaccine is readily available. It's
Yes, and
mostly people
free.
who've refused to get vaccinated. Is
Mhm.
the overwhelming majority of the people that are in the hospital with COVID. And I've seen so many anecdotes from hospital staff that they are mean. They are being just treated like garbage because somehow it's their fault that they have this disease, that they refuse to get the thing. So I mean, and that's, I'm sure that's not all white people, but that's a lot of white people. I mean, again,
Yeah.
because it was politicized as a, uh, you know, the the America First, the Trump campaign slogan, has been the slogan of the American Nazi Party for the last 80 years. We I guess we ignore that and pretend that that's a coincidence, that they've just stuck with that. So it's a lot of white people who are in this thing. So again, the level of I think with the ability to videotape, I think with Black Lives Matter, I think that white entitlement is being challenged on a regular basis. And I think that it is bringing up a level of rage that maybe white people never felt like they needed to have because everything was going their way. you know,
Maybe
but
that's
we saw it
it.
in the past. I mean, we saw it with the Ruby Bridges. We talked last week about the Ruby Bridges book and that image of the
Oh, the
I don't want to say they
seething,
look like dogs because I
raging.
love dogs, but just the seething, these white people who were so, I mean, they looked like they were going to burst because they were so
They
angry that this
did.
black child was going to school.
Yeah, you
I
can
mean,
see like the flecks of foam on their mouths.
you really can. So it's always been there. Again, maybe there's more of it popping out in public more often now because people are being challenged more than they ever have been. Um, and maybe that's a good way of looking at it. Maybe that's a positive. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess I'm trying to think back in the day. I remember, people belligerently stating things like, "Oh, why do we need a Black History Month? When's White History Month?"
Mm-hmm.
But it wouldn't get up to that screaming, seething
Yeah.
level of just white hot, mind swirling rage. It would be some kind of stupid, belligerent outburst.
Yeah. Um, y- uh, yeah. I don't know if we're just seeing more of it,
I don't know
because there are more
either.
ways to see things, but I, th- I think there are a lot of people who feel, if you've had there's a nature of human element there's an element of human nature that's unfortunate where if you've grown up with all the apples
Mhm.
and then someone comes along and says, no, we're going to divide these apples equally. um there are some exceptional people who will go, good, that is perfectly reasonable, but a lot of people, even otherwise good people, are going to go, wait a minute, you're taking my apples away? I don't understand.
Well,
If you've had if
and
you've
then there
had
are
the
the other.
entire if you've had the entire bushel of apples and someone goes, no, 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 we're going to divide these apples fairly, it's going to be hard not to see that you've lost something. Um, so
I think there's also the idea of you've got a whole ton of apples. Then all of a sudden, somebody else gets an apple tree. They now also have apples.
true,
That's even a thing that can drive people into a rage. They didn't even have to give up any of their apples.
true, true.
It's just somebody else went and also got some apples. And now other people have got apples as well. And so we're going to fly into a weird rage because other people went and got their own apples.
Well, and it's the
Because
people you've
somehow
been
it's
always
not.
told. It's the people you've been always been told don't deserve their own apples. You've
Yeah,
also
where'd
got
they
a
get those from? Who gave them
you've
that
also
tree?
you've also got a whole mythology that you've constructed about why those people don't deserve apples, why they shouldn't have their own apples, why they didn't,
Yeah.
why they're not going to know what to do with their own apples, they're not going to use them right. So you're right. No, you're right. You don't even have to give. I mean, you don't even have to give anything up to be to be unpleasant, I guess. To be a
Yeah,
nasty,
yeah,
nasty, unpleasant person.
which right. It is absolutely wild. It's like that took nothing from you. Well, I'm
Hmm.
still angry about it.
Hmm.
Like the people who get all up in arms about, for example, the school lunch program. Like but are you saying that children should go hungry? Like are you literally telling me that children should go hungry?
Well,
You're
and
you're, you're actually sitting here like
we come up with, it's like when someone asks you for money on the street, and yes, maybe they're trying to pull something over. Maybe maybe they don't really need the bus to Buffalo, et cetera, et cetera. But whenever I have been asked for money on the street, and sometimes, you know, sometimes I do. A lot of times I just walk by because I never have any actual cash. Um, but if you're with a group of people will always start talking about how like the person doesn't really need it. It's a con. It's a scam. So we do this. Like we tell ourselves, we come up with stories about why we don't need to help, why we should have stuff that's better than other people, why we're better than other people and should have the things that they don't have. Um, and we've done this with black people in this country. On mass, we've just decided like, okay, let's all us white people, whatever other differences we have, we'll get together and we will construct a story about why we should have all the stuff and they should have none of the stuff, and why they don't deserve any of the stuff, and why we deserve all the stuff, and why if they get any stuff, we should have their stuff anyway because they're not going to know what to do with it. So, there's sort of a there's a thing we do that we've expanded to, again, like every person of color in the United States of America. And it's bad.
it's really, really
I'm just gonna
bad.
sum that up and say it's bad.
We're just gonna come down. We're gonna come down hard with the Sound of Tomorrow's stance. It's bad.
Maybe that's my hot take, that racism is bad. But I think it's bad. I'm gonna,
Really,
okay.
really bad.
Anybody wants to call me on it, go ahead. But I'm just gonna say,
I'm going to agree with you completely. Racism is bad.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
so that was that article.
Glad we sorted that out. I know people have been having this debate: racism, good or bad? And
right.
we're here to weigh in.
Come down definitively.
Yep. Finally, it's time we took a stand, I think.
Good on us.
Do you want to end on something a little lighter?
I definitely do. I want to save flirting for next week because it's all about the slow burn.
We never got your flirting. Yeah, you're flirting with us, the audience. All right.
Exactly. I'm going to bat my lashes and say I'm going to be talking about flirting, and then I'm like, maybe later.
This will be relatively quick. So this is a little bit of a life hack, a reading hack. I'm now I work for life hackers sometimes now, so I think of things in terms of life hack. This is not an official life hacker hack.
Oh no,
it probably could be. I probably could be getting paid for this, so I don't know why I'm telling you people for free. But I'm going to call this like a reading hack, and I sort of wish I had brought this up before. So you're a book reader. You're a book lover.
I'm a book reader.
You've got a lot of books, and there are authors and writers that you are particularly fond of.
Indeed.
So my reading hack is get your book signed. So I wish I brought this up before, because what I've found, and I haven't done this with a ton of stuff, but so there have been, with COVID, and they're still going on, there have been all these online events, right? Where with different, different bookstores, big and small. So, like Barnes and Noble's been doing some of them. Politics and Prose is a big bookstore in Washington, but other smaller bookstores have been doing this too. They've been hosting online events where, you pay, basically, you pay the price of a book, and then you get a little Zoom evening with the author. Not personal, I'm sure there are things that offer personal things, but that's a different scenario. But some sort of like little interview chat that you get access to, and then you get a book, and the author signs your book. There are a lot of ways to I think there are more ways now than there used to be, if you're someone who really likes an author or just likes having an autographed book. I mean, sometimes it's nice, even if you're not like a number one fan of the author, it's sort of nice. Like, I got this book. I like this book. It's signed by, the author, I like this book. A lot of authors, they have their own web pages. Sometimes there are authors who have, they'll have a deal with like a bookstore that's near them. So if you order the book through the local bookstore, the person that lives nearby or sell it. I mean, most writers don't have like a stock of books. Just the logistics of that are that's not easy for a normal author to sort of handle. But occasionally, like I ordered a history book from Charles Spencer, who just who happens to be, he's a writer of history books that I like, but he also has he has a website. He's Princess Diana's sister or brother, so he's one of those family members. So he has
Oh,
he sort of has a bookstore in his house, basically. So that's the kind of logistics that you need to have a stock of books that you can handily send out. But it's easy enough for him. So for the the price of the book, it's not like an extra charge. You are probably in these scenarios going to pay more than you maybe you're used to, because I know I tend to be a discount book shopper.
yes, me
But
too.
if you support a local bookstore or an author, as as we all should be doing as much as we can anyway, I would say, you if you're used to being a discount book shopper and then you pay the full cover price of a book, um, it can seem like you're paying more. You sometimes you feel like, oh my god, who pays this much
I
for a book?
know.
But on the other hand, if it's a, if you're supporting a local bookstore, if you're supporting an author you like, and you have the extra means, it's sort of a nice way to do it. And again, you have a nice, either a collectible or just a thing that's special and makes the book a little extra special. Larry Edmonds is a bookstore in Los Angeles that does a lot of, they're in Los Angeles. So a lot of entertainers, a lot of what do you call them? A lot of movie type
I,
people. So they have a lot of stuff like that.
yeah.
I got a I got a Cicely Tyson book from Barnes and Noble with one of those things where it was here's an event where there's an interview with Cicely Tyson like the day before she died, and here's your signed book from Cicely Tyson, which made it very special. So it's a very it's sort of an extra special thing. Now that's not the scenario you want, but
No.
in general, so I think because there are so many online things now, there are ways to there are ways to get your book signed and support your favorite author, or support a small local bookstore, or support Barnes and Noble. I guess I'm sure they can use the help too. So if you're doing it through them, that's fine too. Nobody's judging. Um,
Yeah. I know John Hodgman does those, and I can't remember which store it is, but whenever he does an announcement, he's like, and if you want a signed copy by me, just say so when you place your order.
yeah,
Because it's apparently not far from his house, and he just goes and signs them when he needs to.
exactly. Yeah, Atomic Books in Baltimore is just another one I was thinking off the top of my head. They, I don't know, I don't want to say they have a deal. I mean, but they have a relationship with John Waters. So whenever John Waters has a new anything, he will come down and sign the stuff, and you can just order it off their website. And again, it's you pay full price. You don't get the Amazon discount, but you know, you have a thing that's special and nice.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. It makes it unique. It's funny, during the pandemic, I wanted to go to a certain one of those book openings, and there must have been some confusion on how to do one because it was like $200.
Oh,
And I was like, oh,
like online?
so yes.
Huh.
And you could watch a 45-minute interview and then you got a signed copy of the book. And I was like, I quite like this author, but I don't really have $200 to put toward a 45-minute online event that I can't even interact.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
That's
sure there was going to be a chat feature so I could have, chatted with the other people who had paid to be there. It must have been some kind of error.
yeah, that's sort of
But
funny.
when I checked back, it was still $200. And I was like, well, I certainly hope that goes well.
So maybe don't do that one. I mean, generally, all the ones I've seen, it's occasionally they'll throw in, depending on what it is and I haven't gone to all these, but I'll sort of check out I'll sort of, through Eventbrite, I'll sort of check out the schedule, because then they'll have sort of a bunch of different things all in one place. But, occasionally they'll throw in an extra $5 or $10 charge on top of the book for, for to come in to see the program or see the show or whatever. Or, you might get a shipping charge that, that's different than what you're used to, depending on where you shop, that kind of thing. But yeah, most of the ones I've seen have been like pretty much the cost of the book, the full price of the
I
book.
will
But
keep an eye out, because there is that one, but then I kind of wasn't paying that much attention. I like signed books. They're fun.
yeah,
And
I
I
mean,
certainly would not mind going to see someone like do a reading from their book via Zoom.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, the things the couple ones I've seen, they've been nice interviews, or, someone's doing a reading or whatever. I think having the little video presentation, it makes it a little extra special, because I mean, it's nice to have a signed book, but then sometimes if you just order the signed book, like, sometimes Barnes and Noble will have like just signed copies of whatever. You don't, at least with the little video, I have like a slightly personal memory of a thing related to the signing. You know what I mean? It's not like I went to a signing, but it makes it even a little more special than just the signed copy of the book. It makes it a little more like, there was an event associated with this signing that I saw. I didn't go and meet the person, but at least there was that. So, there are a lot of
Yep.
ways to do it. But if you've got someone you like, there's a good chance there's a way to get a book signed. Check out their social media or whatever. A lot of times they'll tell you, or slide into their DMs and ask them. Who knows?
Yeah. That sounds like fun, and I really like it. Do you know what else I like, Ross?
You like candy corn?
I do very much. I like to stick it on my canine teeth and pretend I'm a vampire.
Correct. You like Music Matters?
I love Music Matters.
Yeah.
So coming up next on WAYO LP Rochester is the fantastic program Music Matters. Stick around, and we'll be back next week. Neferrotten?
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, I actually cut back on some. I was like, I actually scaled back on a couple others that I was like, okay, that's
nice of
that's
you.
too mean. That's too mean to try to make her pronounce. At least this is
You
kind
gotta
of
write
at
these
least
out
this is
phonetically for me.
at least this is kind of phonetic, yeah. Okay, I got it. I have taken the time to educate myself and to explore the tremendous contributions that women have made in history. And Heather, I would like to formally invite you to my newly reconstituted live-action historical role-playing club, now featuring women.
Great. So you've learned about women other than Anne Boleyn, Susan B. Anthony, and Tina Turner? Ross?
You know what? Let's just dive right in, okay? I'm going to need you to lay down on this stone block right here. If you could just...
I am not playing Anne Boleyn.
Okay, well, you're not playing Tina Turner.
There are other women in history besides Anne Boleyn and Tina Turner.
Oh, yeah? Name one.
Pharaoh Neferrotten, better known as Nefertiti.
Okay, well, if you're just going to make stuff up,